Alright, so today we're going to be debunking some liberal TikToks. This could be a great span of the great replacement to gay marriage to stuff like that. We're going to be debunking all of them. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, etc., etc. God bless. Let's get into it. So I hear this a lot when I'm making arguments against gay marriage and why we should have a federal ban on gay marriage is that, well, all the other animals do it. 1,500 animals, and now I think it's 3,000 animals, support gay marriage or have gay relations within each other. And they're like, well, it's normal, it's biological. Well, you know what other animals do? They fight against each other, right? You know what else they do? They also rape each other. So is grape good? No. Is war good? No. So the thing is, if those are not good, even though those are biological and those are like normal, why isn't gay marriage good? Or why isn't gay marriage normal? Well, it's because there's certain sets of morality that us humans have. And that's why we're above other species. We're not just like robots or non-rational beings like animals. We are rational beings. We are human beings. That's why we're above the animals, and that's why we're below the angels. And so saying that, well, other animals do it, therefore we should do it, is like saying we should do grape. Or I think some animals do incest. I think some animals do a lot of horrific stuff to each other. So it's not a great argument at all. I think we should make better arguments for it because logically there's problems. Also, there's just appeal to nature fallacy. I mean, the appeal to nature fallacy is all because in nature it's normal makes it good. That's not good. And that's not a good argument to why gay marriage should be legalized or why gay relations should be okay. I'm against gay marriage, but this is just not a good argument. This is just actually one of the worst arguments I've ever heard.
It truly grinds my gears whenever someone says, getting an abortion is irresponsible. No, babe, it's probably one of the most responsible choices that individual can make for themselves. Let's say somebody's getting an abortion for financial reasons. Getting that abortion is the responsible outcome for that individual because if they cannot financially afford to have a child, how is it responsible to bring that child into this world? Let's say a child is seeking out an abortion. It would be irresponsible to allow a child to bring another child into this world. So in that case, again, getting the abortion is the responsible decision. Let's say somebody was sexually assaulted and they're seeking out an abortion because of that. I would hope that we could all agree that a woman who was assaulted would be able to get an abortion without it being called irresponsible because she never made the choice to have sex in the first place. In the case where a woman is seeking an abortion because she has an abusive partner, that is absolutely responsible to not bring a child into an abusive relationship. If somebody is seeking out an abortion because they already have too many children, that is responsible to put their born children first. All of the reasons that I just listed cover the majority of why people get abortions. So again, tell me how getting an abortion is irresponsible.
Abortion is always irresponsible. It's always bad. So she gives a couple of reasons like sexual assault, financial reasons. Now, sexual assault is a gray area. Obviously, I'm against abortion for sexual assault, but I can see why someone wants to. But for financial reasons, that's a bad argument. So all because a family is poor does not mean it's an irresponsible thing to have an abortion. For example, if a family wants to have a kid, but they're not in financial good standing, is that irresponsible for them? But they really want to have a kid? No. And also, another thing is, would you say in Africa, and well, not all of Africa, but the poverty parts in Africa, or in Gaza right now where they're completely war torn and stuff like that, or any other area where it's, it's not great poverty, would it be irresponsible for those two loving individuals to have a kid? No, because having a kid is bringing a new human life into the world. Another thing is, would you call murder responsible? Because obviously she's making an argument that abortion is not murder. Well, if abortion is murder ever responsible? Is killing somebody ever responsible? Is not like in self-defense, but I'm talking about actual murder. No, it's not. And so murder is never responsible. So even if it's financially bad, murder is still bad, abortion is still bad. So that's not even a good argument. Because if it's just better just to make the argument that abortion is not murder. That means abortion is never unjustified, because if you make abortion up to like 20 weeks, well, you're okay with any types of abortion for any reason. So making an argument, well, we need to have abortion because it's a responsible thing to do, even if abortion is murder, it doesn't matter, because she's not making a good argument for why we should have abortion. Because even if it's responsible and the family can't afford it, you're still killing a human being. You're still killing a person with future consciousness, future subjective experiences. That person will never have a birthday, never experience love, never experience being loved, never experience talking to another human being. You're taking that away. That's why murder is wrong. Murder is wrong because we're taking away future subjective experiences from that person. It's the same thing with abortion. So I can make the same exact argument that the irresponsible thing is to have an abortion, because you're just going to kill another human being because you made a mistake. Like, you made that mistake. You knew that you had sex that was not protected, or even if you're just having sex, knowing that you can have a baby. That is irresponsible of you. That action is irresponsible. And so killing a human being, killing something, is irresponsible of you. So it's such a subjective argument, in my opinion, because irresponsible or responsible is subjective just to the person who says it. But yeah, I disagree with this. This is actually it was a decent argument, but yeah, not good enough.
I am 19 years old and I just had my 10th abortion in my lifetime. Most people may call me a hoe or a whore, but honestly, I use it as a form of exercise. Getting abortions is like getting my daily coffee or like a morning jog. The Republicans, they just don't understand. And I basically am next week, I am planning to have an abortion of my triplets. And I am using my food stamps money towards this abortion. Oh, hold on. As free healthcare. Bye.
I don't even know what to say to that. That's just awful. That's just awful, man. I can't even say anything to that. So yeah, if you're pro-choice, you have to be okay with that, because who cares? She's obviously just doing it just to kill the baby at this point. She's okay with killing triplets because, it's her fault. She had sex. She's doing sex unprotected, I guess. And she don't care. She don't care. I just put this video up here just to show, if you're pro-choice to any extent, 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 24 weeks, at any chance, at any area you allow abortion, you have to be okay with this morally, because logic says so. Because you would have to be okay with it by definition, because anything before 24 weeks, or your set moral compass of when a baby becomes a person, is free game. It's all good game right there. Because if the baby is a moral value, so this is morally fine. Her using food stamps and her money, which also is another good reason to show the big ass fraud that we have here. She's not the only one like this. Just a lot of women like this. This is why, welfare should be a state's issue. Besides the point. I mean, that's awful. You have to be okay with this if you're any bit pro-choice, in any bit, even if it's like 3 weeks. If they can have a baby before 3 weeks, and they just murder it, you have to be okay with this. So this is why it's either you're 0 weeks to be pro-life. You're not pro-life before anything else. Okay? You're pro-life. You're not 0 week. You're not 1 week, 2 week, 3 week. That baby has, when it's conceived, has moral value because it has future subjective experiences. Another thing, this woman should be in jail. If I was president, she'd be in jail, because this is actually evil. She's playing with life like it's a game. And I'm going to say this. She is no worse than any of the biggest genociders. Okay? Because there is people who are just deprived and brainwashed to having abortions. She is well aware that she's killing human life, and she's okay with it. You are no worse than Hitler. You are no worse, or no better than Hitler. You are no better than Stalin. You're no better than them. You're just as evil. Because you're playing with human life as a game, just like Hitler did. Just like Stalin did. Just like everyone else, every big genocider did. They played with human life like a game, and that's what you're doing. And you might say it's not human life, it doesn't deserve a moral value. She doesn't care. You can make the argument to her that it deserves moral value. She would still have it that her, 20th abortion. I mean, she's also a whore, but who cares? She's also a whore. But she wouldn't care, because she's evil, and evil people do this stuff. And so to say that, she's a good person and the comments are okay with it, get her out of here, dude. She's a horrible person. And I hope she comes to Jesus Christ one day, because this is actually horrible.
People are being replaced. We have to do something. You're talking about the Great Replacement Theory, and it's not supported by credible evidence. Historians and demographers widely reject it. Loser incels spread that misinformation on the internet.
But what about birth rates? People are saying white populations are shrinking!
Birth rates are dropping everywhere, Morty. Across developed countries, regardless of race. It's not some targeted thing, it's a systemic trend. They're dropping because capitalism makes it harder for people to live. Costs are high and people can't afford to feed another mouth. If you want birth rates to rise, then make life easier to live.
Okay, but being a minority is a big deal?
It only sounds like a big deal if you're assuming being treated like a minority is a bad thing. That says more about how minorities have been treated than anything else.
I didn't think about it like that!
Yeah, Morty, if the fear is losing power or losing status, then what you're really admitting is that the system hasn't been equal to begin with.
But people say white people are, like, disappearing.
Morty, let me ask you something. Who even counts as white?
I mean, like, Europeans?
Today, sure, but that hasn't always been the case. Groups like Irish and Italian immigrants weren't always considered white in places like the United States. The definition changed over time.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, race isn't some fixed biological truth, Morty. It's a social construct. Society decides who fits into what category, and those categories shift depending on politics and power.
So the definition of white can just...
It has changed, Morty, multiple times. So how can a group be replaced if the boundaries of that group are constantly being redefined?
I guess that doesn't really make sense.
Exactly. What people call replacement is usually just demographic change. People moving, families mixing, society evolving. That's been happening forever. Follow for more.
So he made like two arguments, and one of them was race realism, and the other one was the Great Replacement. I'll get into both of them. I believe race is real, just for a disclaimer, but besides the point, let's get into it. Okay, so first of all, is actually really bad. I mean, the white population in all of the Western world has dropped dramatically, and he acknowledges that in the video. But let's get to the second part where he says the birth rates. And so yes, the birth rates are low within the Western world because the economy is horrible. And my problem is, and that's us far righters, and us people that just believe in this theory, is that, well, the government should be doing the better thing for their people, which is incentivizing birth by making the economy good. What they're doing is replacing their people by going to mass immigration from the third world because they know they'll have more babies to sustain the population. So that's the problem. It's not that, oh, birth rates are dropping through the Western world. I agree with you, but we're disagreeing on how the politicians are handling this. The politicians are handling this in a bad way of just saying, well, we need to take all of the third world to sustain our populations. No, because the way to do this is to increase birth rates. You can see this, I think, in the 1980s and whenever the economy is good, people have more children. You can see the birth rates go up. But also lowering taxes for middle-class families, lowering taxes. Like, if I have a plan, I'll show my Substack what I do as president, but if you read to my income tax areas, maybe tax corporations a little bit more, like 30%, and give a big middle-class tax cut, and have no, like for married people, no taxes. For under 100K, no taxes. That's the majority of your population. No taxes for them, so they can have money to fund kids. That's the way you sustain this problem of like low birth rates. And that will objectively lead to more births because families biologically want to have more kids. They want to have kids. It's actually anti-biological to not want to have kids. It's a natural desire to have kids. Women want kids, most women, but they can't afford it. So the way you do it is either give a tax cut, and that will lead to, okay, I can have a baby. Also, another thing is have a bigger financial club in the school. Put more finances into the school because people don't know how to budget. People have more money than they think. There's no way 67% of the country should be living paycheck to paycheck. That's because people have bad finances. If you just do basic finances, you'll have enough to have a kid. But also the taxes are not good too. So that's the biggest problem. Now let's get into the second part. He said Americans didn't see Italians as white or Irish as white. That's not true. The reason why we didn't see them as white or not, well, first of all, the Sicilians are like, they're kind of mixed, but also from you don't really know. Like some Sicilians look a little bit more darker than others. But besides the point, they did see them as white. The only reason why we didn't like take their immigration is because we took so much Irish and Italian immigration. I'm Italian and Irish, but we took so much immigration from them in the 1910s, 1920s. We had no immigration, I think. But the 1910s, we took literally so much Italian immigration and so much Irish immigration to the point where it was too much and they just blocked it off pretty much. And that's not discriminatory. I think that's honest from coming from an Irish Italian who thinks that's okay because we were taking so much immigration from them. I don't see that as wrong. And also, again, they didn't see him as not white. They saw him as white. And biologically, race is real. I mean, I can make a whole video on this. I'm not going to go to the depths, but there's definitely biological differences within IQ, within, like, people, like, what's it called? Identical twins. I mean, black people are 2 times more likely to have identical twins. Due to the bacteria in your teeth, you can see your race. Race is real, objectively. And so they didn't see Italians as white. That's not true. Again, they say it. A lot of these liberal historians say it. That's not true. What they just said is that we're taking too much Italian and Irish immigration that we need to cut them off for a little bit, which is fine. Okay, because when you take a lot of a certain group of people, they assimilate less. Now, his third thing is the reason why these whites don't want to take mass immigration is because they're worried about becoming a minority. Yes, white European people built America and all of the Western world. Okay, these are your people. Okay, you'll never be able to be French. You'll never be able to be Italian unless you have an ancestry homeland there. Okay, you'll never be Italian. If you were ever an immigrant to Italy, to America, that's not true. America is different, but I'm talking about like France. I'm talking about UK, Italy, Europe. If you're ever an immigrant there, you'll never be Greek. You'll never be Italian. And now I have a whole definition for what American is, but you have to be a European and then obviously have some ancestry here. But the problem is when these are your people and you're going to be like, we're going to replace them because they're having low birth rates, is stupid. Okay? Another thing is when you just decide to take all of these people and all of these different interests are here, right? Because when you take a group that is from the third world or from Mexico or from Latin America, I'm okay with taking some Latin American immigration, don't get me wrong. But you take all these immigrants, what happens? They have different interests than the native people. You can see through these polls what they value in gun control and what they value in big government. They care about the different things, and when you have different interests and this big disparity amongst the vote, the country collapses. Okay? Another thing is, here's the big thing, people self-segregate. I've already said this a million times, you watch my TikToks. Self-segregation is real. So when you have, oh, well, these people are going to self-segregate there, and you're just all these different groups of people in one country, again, a house divided cannot stand. Abraham Lincoln is true on that. And that's what we're worrying about. A country will not stand. And when you take immigrants, so many immigrants that are not from the same ancestry or same religion or same anything that's something in common with, the country falls. He kind of strawmanned and didn't give a good steel man of our positioning. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. I'm probably gonna do these more because it takes lots less editing. And yeah, God bless.